What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? Hopefully you are having a great day wherever you may be. Obviously, all of our content is presented by my friends at Zone Pouches. And it's Tuesday early afternoon, still feeling the aftermath of the Packers, and the pitchforks are out for LaFleur. Meanwhile, Sirianni has one of the best winning percentages in the history of the NFL. So, two franchises, it feels like going in opposite directions after last night, even though the game was really close, and it shows you the margins are small in football. But what we are going to do today is going to be a big mailbag. We do these usually on Tuesdays. So at John Middlekauff is the Instagram. Fire in those DMs. We will go rapid fire through some of your guys' questions, and then we'll add those to the podcast over the next couple days as well. So keep firing in my Instagram, and that's the easiest way to get involved on this podcast. But before we dive in to football, I got to tell you about my friends, Zone Pouches. This product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Underage sale is prohibited, and if you're as competitive as I am, you're always looking for something to help you stay dialed in. When I'm watching football, I'm using Zone Pouches. And you won't catch me without, right now I'm using mint, but typically like dragon fruit, citrus, their flavors are fantastic. Not to mention 20 pouches per can versus the 15 the other guys offer. Choose Zone and dominate the day. Use promo code number 3 and out 20 on NicoKick.com. Let's start with Aiden. As of now, who should be the front runner for NFL MVP? I'm a Patriots fan, so I think Drake May has an argument for it, but I have a hard time looking on how dominant Jonathan Taylor has been for the number 1 seed in the AFC. To me, I think there's a group of guys. I think obviously the quarterbacks, Drake May would squarely be in it. Stafford, Darnold. Look at the impact Darnold's had on Seattle and their passing game. It's been dramatic. Stafford he's been elite. He looks fantastic. Obviously, adding Devontae Adams has been huge. But I'm with you. If we removed the word MVP and we said the NFL Heisman Trophy, Jonathan Taylor would win, right? But I think this MVP award has just become so quarterback-centric. To me, Drake May, his ceiling is the MVP award. I'm just not even talking this season. I'm just saying where you should feel great if you're a Patriot fan is know that you had 20 years of Brady, and a couple years later, you now have this. And even the guy you drafted, Mac Jones, is single-handedly saving the 49ers. Like, you guys are on the right quarterbacks. I would say Mike Vrabel would be the Patriots MVP more than Drake. And I'm not trying to diminish anything with Drake May, but I would have him behind Darnold and Stafford. And I'm with you. I would have no problem. Raj and company will probably never give me a vote, but if they did, I would go with Jonathan Taylor. You're the GM of an NFL team. You have to pick a running back, and here are your two options. 1, the guy will get exactly 100 yards every single game, no more, no less. 2, this guy will get you exactly 2 yards every single time he runs the ball, no more, no less. You can run each running back as many times as you want. Who are you choosing? Well, I take the guy getting me 100 yards. 2 yards doesn't. If you average 2 yards a carry, you're going to get cut. I can't run you 4 times. You don't even get me a first down. So I don't even think that's. Is that a trick question? Am I dumb? Which I wouldn't consider myself smart. So I feel like I'm being duped here. But I would go with the 100-yard guy. Right? If I'm getting 100 yards a game from my running back, that's 1,700 yards a game. And hopefully my quarterback's pretty solid. But I'd feel pretty good about my chances there. I feel like you're doing something to me, though. I feel like there's some math equation. I don't know. 2 yards is not enough. If you said 3.5, I might think differently. Thank you for the Folds of Honor interview. My husband is a former Marine. He flew from California out to D.C. this weekend to tear it up with his buddies of the 250th USMC birthday events. They all go out, the Marines, about 20 years ago, but their bonds remain strong. With so many fewer people being connected to the military these days, I always appreciate it when people highlight. Yeah, it's obviously, both my grandparents. I didn't mention it to the president of Folds of Honor who came on the podcast yesterday flew F 16s for 30 years. Where I come from, people like that are considered certified badasses. But both my grandparents were in World War II. My mom's dad was shot down in Asia in World War II. My dad's brother died in Vietnam, so my dad was immediately pulled out. He wasn't actually in Vietnam. I think he was in Germany at the time. But yeah, the military. I mean, my dad was pretty old school home, so we had some like Tom Coughlin like rules. Being early is late. So yeah, I appreciate all you guys and Folds of Honor when they said they were coming on the podcast as a sponsor a long time ago before we had them on felt right. So the military means a lot to me and it will my entire life, and I plan on teaching my son the same as well. Wanted to hear your thoughts on Kalen Dobeor. I feel that even after his recent hot streak, he's criminally underrated. The national narrative does not come close to what the guy's actually accomplished. I have some stats here I think that will genuinely shock you. He's 8-1 against top 10 opponents. Best winning percentage in the stat in the history of college football among any coach, past or present. He's 19-3 against top 25 teams. Also the best winning percentage all time. He took a team with 0 5-star players to the national championship with Washington. Only coach to ever accomplish this in the modern recruiting era. Combined 8-0 record against Lanning, Kirby, Sark, and Kelly. And finally, a 120-17 all-time coaching record. You're preaching to the choir here, brother. Like I'm on board with Kalen Dobeor. Like he's good. Like I mean, he's kicking ass and taking it. You put him and Grubb together, and you give them a functional quarterback, it's fucking on like Donkey Kong. So you do not need to. You don't sell me on this one. I am on board. Yeah, I got nervous when he lost to Florida State, but I mean he went 9-4 with Jalen Milroe. Like I just think Jalen Milroe is the complete opposite type of quarterback that he would want. But when he's had guys that are more traditional pocket passers, Penix Penix at Washington, he had Jake Hayner at Fresno State, and obviously now with Ty Simpson, I don't even know who the hell he had in the Dakotas, but he's beaten the what out of everybody in his way. And to go to the SEC and do that, right? He's beat Kirby back-to-back years. Brian Kelly at this point is not that big of a, but Kirby back-to-back years, pretty incredible accomplishment. Question for the bag. I've been seeing a lot about the new Colts owner, Carly Ursay-Gordon, standing on the sidelines with a headset during the game and learning the logistics of football in order to effectively operate the franchise. Obviously, there are owners like Jerry Jones who meddle to the point of hurting their team. But do you think more owners who are quote-unquote hands-off will be inspired by Carly to become better acquainted with the logistics of the game? Even if the Colts continue to have success moving forward, in your opinion, how involved should a good owner be? The reason the Colts are good, and people think I'm going to hate on her about this. Like, I do think it's funny that she'll be at practice with a Gucci pullover. I just laugh at the visual, even though, like, I'm not offended by her wearing Gucci to practice, but it's like, she's rich. I mean, she's a billionaire. And she's not, quote unquote, a new owner. She's played a big role as her sister's, like, with her dad. Like, she was born in this family. So the reason the Colts are winning this year and not in previous years is they have a good quarterback. So, like, she's not doing anything different. I feel like I'm hating on her. I don't give a shit. I'm not a Colts fan, but they're getting solid quarterback play. And now they look headed toward 12 to 14 wins. It has nothing to do with her. right? Now, maybe she's made some tweaks in marketing and other things that I don't know about, but she's not calling the plays. She's not running practice. Maybe they would say she's given them some ideas that they've instituted. I don't know. But I think it has zero impact, right? The reason the Cowboys have not won in the playoffs is Dak Prescott has thrown the ball to the other team. He threw interceptions against the Niners, against the Packers in playoff games. It wasn't because Jerry Jones was meddling. So, like, at the end of the day, if you have good players and good coaches and a good quarterback, you're going to be pretty good, whether the owner's a pain in the ass or not. Like, for as awful as the Browns have been, if they had Patrick Mahomes, they'd be good. you know? So I just think this isn't that complicated. Obviously, it's easier for the GM and the coach if the owner leaves them alone, right? And they're good. But, like, they win or lose because they pick the right players and they call the right plays. The Packers lost that game because their offense sucks right now. It has nothing to do with, uh, the new president, right? It was just that's on Matt LaFleur. He's the play caller. Even I saw his press conference. He was like, we need to coach better. But he didn't take all the. He's like, we need to execute better. It's like, Matt, the buck stops with you, buddy. I'd be careful about take it all. It was the first time I was like, guys, this guy not taking all the responsibility. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. We talk a lot of football here on 3 and Out, but there's so much more to bet on. The NBA is obviously in full swing. I was watching Michigan State and Arkansas play basketball. College hoops is back. Even the NHL is rock and rolling. So if you haven't tried your first bet yet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time for you to get 150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but an extra 150 in bonus bets. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in Florida. And it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado. So download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit. Got a question. When did coaches become a tradable asset? And why is it not a more common practice? The only 2 coaches that I can remember being traded were Gruden and Peyton. Also, do you think that Gruden would be a fit for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, or do you think they need a defensive coach? Well, Peyton quit. So, Peyton told the Saints, I'm out. And they just traded for him because they were like, you're under contract. You quit on us. You went to do TV, and then you wanted to coach someone else because you thought the roster that you played a huge part on sucked and you had no quarterback, which I don't blame him. Doc Rivers has made a career doing stuff like this, but the Saints didn't actively want to trade Sean Payton. He tapped out on them, which is his choice. But John Gruden wanted to get money, and Al Davis would not pay him. So Al Davis traded John Gruden. Typically, if you have Sean Payton or Gruden back in his prime, the team doesn't want the guy to leave. Just like the Saints. They didn't want him to leave. So, like, I'm trying to think of an example. The Rams would, like, Sean McVay's not available. Why? Because the Rams want him to be their coach. So I think part of the reason you don't see many coaches traded is because that team typically wants the coach. Now, Mike Tomlin this offseason, could they trade him to the Giants for like a 3rd-round pick? Well, if I was the Giants, it's like, well, then keep him. I dare you to fire him. Well, I'm not trading you anything. So I just think it's a practice that it's more unrealistic for it to happen than it will ever be considered like common practice. Big Bills fan. Love McDermott and what he's done for the franchise for almost a decade. But since the 13-second game, I've lost confidence. He's proven that in sticky situations, he gets too tight. Too conservative, clock management issues, etc. Assuming he gets relieved of his duties at the conclusion of the year, who do you think would be a good fit? Stefanski, bring Dayball back? Wish we could have got the chance to bring in Ben Johnson or Vrabel, but can't fire a coach getting the AFC Championship game. You cannot fire Sean McDermott for Kevin Stefanski. Like, that just can't happen. And I would say the same thing for Dayball, though he's coached Josh Allen. It's been well reported that those two didn't have a great relationship at the end. Not Josh, but I can't speak to Josh's relationship with Dayball. But Sean McDermott and Brian Dayball did not get along. But I don't know how you could coach a guy who's or hire a guy who's 20-40 and replace him with Sean McDermott. I don't think you can. I'm trying to look up Kevin Stefanski's coaching record. I would guess it would be really shitty. Yeah, it's not great. He's obviously had two good years with the Browns, one during the Rona season of 2020. Then he's 8-9, 7-10. Did have 23 where he went 11-6 with Flacco. Last 2 years, he's won 5 games. He's 3-14, 24, and he's 2-7 this year, headed toward 3 or 4 wins. So to me, Stefanski's untouchable. I couldn't hire either one of those guys. To me, if you are the owner, or I guess if you're going to keep the GM, who I would have to imagine would be in a little trouble too, who are my options? This is the problem with this offseason. Like in college, there are a lot of good options, right? There are a lot of proven head coaches. James Franklin's available. Lane's Kiffin might be available. You got a bunch of up and comers at different places. In the NFL, last year was the cycle. Even Liam Cohen. I know he just lost to the Texans, but pretty good. I've been pretty impressed with Liam Cohen. I don't want to say he came out of nowhere because I've kind of followed his career since Will Levis in Kentucky, but he's that's a pretty good type guy. Like if Liam Cohen was available, I'd be interested if I was the Bills, like last year. But he's not. And he was the third best coach of his own cycle. Who are the coaches this cycle? Well, you already got one of them, Joe Brady. Klint Kubiak? I think it's difficult, man. Robert Saleh? I, I I think it's going to be hard this offseason to fire a coach unless you know for sure the individual you're going to get. Because if you're just going to randomly go interview the crew, I don't think it's uh, anything like last year. Is there a chance if things keep going bad for the Packers or they get bounced early in the playoffs that they fire LaFleur, promote Hafley to head coach, and just hire a good OC to run the offense? I think the risky part with that is Hafley is proven he's good with defense. He was good at Ohio State. He became a head coach. Obviously, most people don't win at Boston College. Bill O'Brien, who clearly is okay, is solid, I think is like 1-8 this year at Boston College. Like that might be the worst college job in Power Four. I wouldn't touch that job with a 100-foot pole. So I'm not judging him on being a head coach, but he's never proven that he can be a head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator. I think it would be pretty risky. Now, I think if you're gonna fire LaFleur and make him your head coach, if they get good, this is I mean, for the most part, think about it. You had McCarthy forever, Mike Sherman back in the day, obviously Holmgren. The Packers have tended to take the Al Davis, like we hire offensive coaches. So they typically don't hire defensive guys. Now, does Gutekunst stay? Is the move just elevate Hafley? Who would you make the offensive coordinator? I would say at this point in time, it's definitely on the table. I do think it would have part of life, part of business is sometimes you have to take calculated risks. I don't care what you do. Getting married, investing in the safest stock on the market. There are inherent risks in literally everything. Things that seem this couldn't be any more of a safe move for my life, for my career, can blow up in your face. So it would be a calculated risk, but it could backfire because it could be twofold. What the defense gets worse because it's harder for him to focus on the defense being the head coach. And two, he struggles being a head coach, right? In the NFL. And what if the offense stays the same? So it's like the offense hasn't improved, the defense gets worse, we'd have a major problem. Question for the bag. What do you think of the possibility of Bill Belichick coaching the Giants? Do you think it could happen? I think it's 0% chance to happen. If you told me a couple years ago that Belichick had been fired, he had taken the year off, and the Giants were open, I would say it's on the table. After the last 9 months of the stories coming out of the girlfriend, I have a very difficult time seeing Giants ownership get in bed with Jordan Hudson. Like, and let's face it, you get into business with Bill, Jordan is coming around. The Giants ain't fucking with that. I think Bill and his relationship, which, listen, he's 73, he's sleeping with a 24-year-old, probably blowing his mind. So props to him for enjoying life, even as he gets old, right? That does not work, though, in the NFL. I'm not saying that there aren't older coaches doing who knows what on the side. It does not become public. No team wants to deal with that. Hell, North Carolina doesn't want to deal with that. So Bill, uh, I listen. I don't know what the record's going to end up being with North Carolina. If you look at their schedule, they might end up like 7-5, potentially 6-6. I think if it was completely quiet, the girlfriend never existed. Pablo Torre wasn't going after Bill and Lombardi. And it was just a normal college football. Like they weren't that good, but they weren't that bad. They went 7-5. It's North Carolina. I think it would be on the table. But everything that happened with her, to me, makes Bill too toxic. And it's easy to be like, well, look, North Carolina wasn't that good. We're not touching him. He's lost his fastball. Because I think that's what people would say about Pete and Bill. It's like, oh, they're 73, 74. They've lost their fastball. The other guy, their age, just said, yeah, I'm over this. I'm not doing it anymore, Nick Saban. And look at that clip of Nick at home watching the Chiefs Bills game. He was laying on the lazy boy with the blanket like every grandpa in America. He had to be yelled at by his wife to sit up and take a bite of cake, which I totally appreciated. Happy wife, happy life. Listen, I know a lot of you guys like rocking a chain. And before GLD, there weren't high quality, affordable options. But now, GLD delivers every price point. Perfect for gift giving and even treating yourself. Look what they sent me. Little chain action. So for you guys, just go to GLD.com. You can rock high quality chains for cheaper prices. But they also have deals with MLB, with the NFL, with college football, and you can basically link up the NCAA, whatever your team is, if you want to rock it. So don't just take my word for it. They have over 2 million customers, 50,000 five-star reviews, high quality, looks good, and you can create fully custom pieces as well. So work hard and change the game right now. GLD is making a holiday shopping easy. For a limited time only, new customers get an insane deal. Use the code 3, number 3, and out to get 50% off plus a free chain at GLD.com. That's 50% off. How do you beat that? 3 and out, the number 3, A&D out at GLD.com. Big Falcons fan from Ireland. One more mailbag question for you. I appreciate the question might be a few weeks too early, but looking ahead with Raheem Morris likely to be fired, how things aren't looking great in Green Bay for Matt LaFleur? Would he be a good fit with the Falcons and, more importantly, Michael Penix Jr.? I think he would fix a lot with the current issues of the Falcons offense. There aren't that many coaches to go around. So let's just say I think the Steelers are going to implode. And if the Steelers implode, I do think Mike Tomlin and the Giants make a lot of sense. Well, that would mean if the Packers also implode, that would mean the Steelers and the Packers are available, which would be pretty nuts because, one, the Steelers job never opens up. And obviously, the Packers is a very desirable place. Well, if you fire Raheem Morris, like there aren't that many coaches to go around. Is Mike McCarthy, he's not getting rehired by the Packers. I doubt the Steelers are hiring him. So would Mike McCarthy be in the mix for Atlanta? I do think that LaFleur would definitely be in the mix for Atlanta. You could argue that LaFleur would actually make some sense for Pittsburgh if they wanted to get an offensive coach, even though the offense right now looks atrocious in Green Bay. I just don't know where all these coaches are coming from, right? Arizona's in trouble. Those guys might get blown out. Atlanta might get blown out. The Giants and the Titans are already open. So I think I just I follow football. You follow football. Who are taking these jobs? Who are the coordinators worth hiring that you feel good about? Now that's just the way it works. But look at last. Like Ben Johnson was the most anticipated offensive coordinator in a long, long time. Uh, the guy, because Sean McVay was off and on calling plays, and he was not when he was hired to the Rams. I'm guilty. I thought this is crazy. A 31-year-old guy to be the head coach. Kevin O'Connell did not call plays for Sean McVay. You could argue the last super highly touted offensive play caller from Ben Johnson was like Kyle Shanahan. Even LaFleur, when he was hired for the Packers, I don't even think the Titans offense was that great that year. It was more just based on his pedigree. So Ben Johnson was an elite candidate. Vrabel was an elite candidate. And hell, even Liam Cohen last year with Baker Mayfield. So I don't know. I think this class is pretty hit or miss, to be honest with you. Big fan of the show. My question for the mailbag is as follows. It seems like every year something happens to go wrong with injuries for our team. This year it's no different. Two starting top five tackles are out. Our starting two running backs are out. I understand not wanting to give excuses to Herbert every year, but at what point do we just admit that he's had a series of problems since starting that no other top five quarterback has come close to? From fraudulent coaching to bottom two defenses to now having the worst offensive line in the entire league. Do you think people are over exaggerating how bad Herbert has it? Or do you think it will finally come together one year and put to rest the debate surrounding him to rest? You never know, man. I just think some of these debates never end. And until a guy quits, sometimes a narrative or the conversation, like what if Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen never win a Super Bowl? Right? I mean, we've been pretty spoiled over the years that most of the guys around Brady won championships, like his peers, right? Obviously Peyton, but Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Big Ben, Eli, most of the top guys, like it's kind of Philip Rivers didn't, but most Carson Palmer didn't, but most of his peers won a championship. So it's hard to. I use this example a lot with Rodgers. Rodgers won it early, checked the box. He had that over everyone's head. It's like, well, he lost again in the playoffs. Well, it's defensive fault. And so, however we wanted to poke holes into it, I'm a Super Bowl champ. I'm a Super Bowl, and he was. So when you check that box early, no one can touch you. As long as Justin Herbert, if they don't make it to a championship game or never make it to the Super Bowl, he's going to get nitpicked. Fair or not. But I'm with you. You lose your tackles. Becton's been out. Your running backs are in shambles. You have a run-first coach who can't call runs, so you got to call passes against a line that can't block anybody. Their defense is pretty good, and their coach is good. So I think the Chargers are going to be feisty. I wouldn't give up on them quite yet to just be a one and done like they were last year. Love the pod. Have you tried looking at something.tv for NFL games that you can watch on Hulu? It may be the most legal stream. It may not be the most legal stream, but it's cheap. I complain about this ESPN YouTube TV thing, not financially. Like all my TV setups and my different stream, this is all this is my business intertwined in my life. So anything that I'm complaining about, it's why I've tried not to complain about the ESPN YouTube situation. I'm not mad that I necessarily have to pay for another thing. It's part of the deal. It's what I do for a living. I watch TV for a living. So I don't complain. Like, I'm not digging ditches. I'm not out there in the heat. I've worked construction. I've worked on the ranch. My job is a piece of cake in terms of the pressure on me on a daily basis, right? So if my biggest issue is having to upgrade my Hulu subscription, Like nobody wants to hear that. My issue has just been with the principle of like this sucks. So like I'm not worried about having to give $10 more for Hulu. It just pisses me off that we're at this point. Partly because I love YouTube TV. Like I am a legit I'm a consumer first. Before I've ever done any of this, going back to when I was 10, 15, 20 years old through college, like I am a consumer and I will consume the best stuff. And YouTube TV, I swear by it. And I've had Direct TV, I've had different cable packages. I love YouTube TV. Swear by it. So when you just make it difficult on me, and to me, it's like on Saturdays. So now if I want to watch the games on ABC or ESPN on college football, I have to sign out and sign in to something else. Where some of the other good games are on Fox, where I could put four boxes together, or I can go back and forth. It just makes it, again, all relatively speaking, a pain in my ass. I haven't used a legal stream since I was probably at Fresno State and I was streaming Dexter, which is still one of the first couple seasons of Dexter is one of my favorite seasons of all time. Uh, I used to love a good illegal stream though, especially in the internet when it was like buffer back in the day when probably internet speeds were pretty slow. Before we dive into the next question, I do need to tell you about my friends, my partners, and the official ticketing app of this podcast, Gametime. Best in the business. Doesn't get any better. Do you guys want to go to a football game? We only got a couple months left. We got college football playoffs. We got NFL regular season. We got NFL playoffs. If you want to go to one of these games, they got flash deals. They got tickets as cheap as $100. They, whatever number you see on the seat that you pick, that is the number you pay at checkout. No hidden fees. There is not a number that when you're checking out, the number grows by 30%. That's not the way Gametime works. The number you see on the seat is the number you will pay when you buy your ticket. So I swear by these guys. I've used them for everything. And if you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, buying football tickets with Gametime, download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code JOHN for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download the Gametime app today. Question. The Eagles, considering their schedule this far and being 7-2, are they still the top dogs in the NFC? They've beaten the Rams, Bucks, and the Packers. Last night was pretty impressive defensively, right? Offensively, they have not been like 2024 because they can't run the ball. Their Saquon is, it's not even his fault. They used to have gaping holes last year. Becton was a monster. You know, Dickerson, Mailata, Lane Johnson's been in and out of games. I feel like every other game I watch, someone rolls up on his knee, someone falls on his ankle. Um, I just think interior, their guard center guard is not as good as it has been in the past. But they still got Devontae Smith. They still got A.J. Brown. They still got Dallas Goedert. Hell, even last night, Saquon had the big play on the pass. So offensively, on any given moment, they can have, they can score from any position. Jalen can bust a big run, obviously the tush push. But if their defense is going to play like that, the pass rush, Jalen Carter looked good. Jalen Phillips looked good. Jalen Hunt's looked like a monster. Mitchell's probably, besides Stingley, the best young corner in the league. I think they have a good chance as any when the playoffs come. It's like, okay, I like the Seattle Seahawks a lot. As of today, I'd probably pick them to win the NFC, but there's going to be a ton of pressure on Sam this week against the Rams, moving forward in these games, and obviously in the playoff spots. So Jalen's two best games of his career came in the Super Bowl. LaFleur drawing up plays on the water cooler while the defense is on the field. Daboll in the blue tent poking his head in the Parsons trade. I feel like the off-field drama is outweighing the on-the-field. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the deal. I mean, this is entertainment. This is a reality television show. These are billion-dollar teams. These are very famous players that have big personalities. These are owners with big personalities, coaches with big personalities. It's kind of always been like this. I do think social media magnifies it a little bit and, you know, pulls at our emotion with the clips, probably more than it used to happen. But I don't know. I think once the season starts, the games, the transactions, which are a big part of the sport, right? Cutting guys, trading guys, benching guys. Uh, it's all part of the deal. I think the off the field drama is much bigger February, March, April, free agency and the draft than it is during the season. So I think it's no different than years past. Okay, a couple more questions. Just got done watching the snooze fest that was Monday Night Football. It occurred to me. The Packers don't seem to have any type of quick passing game. Even with Love under center or Love under pressure most of the night, seems like they go super deep drop backs and long developing routes down the field. That paired with the lack of run game seems to be a problem. I think Love is a great player and obviously super talented throwing the ball, but even during the peak Mahomes year, you could always count on a ton of hitches, ball out screens, and quick routes like slants. Do you think this is a problem that Matt LaFleur's offense or a Jordan Love problem? Like he's opting for down the field reads and not taking the quick stuff. Well, you can call a play that does not have any go routes or deep posts. Like you can call four slants or four outs. Like you can manipulate the offense. You're calling it. He runs what you call. This is ultimately, in situations like this, can turn into a dictatorship. You call the plays, he runs the plays. He's not Peyton Manning. He doesn't get full reign out there if you don't want him to have it. So I think what they would say is the talent outside. I mean, Christian Watson is a deep ball guy. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. So when he's going to be on the field, they're going to want to press the envelope down the field. But Wick's got to catch the ball. But Dobbs can kind of do it all. They're missing Kraft, which is a huge blow. You know, Jacobs should be a massive addition in the screen game. But yeah, I mean, I would put it more on the coach than the quarterback because you're allowed to call whatever play you want. It's your fucking offense. So I have a hard time blaming Love for the constant down the field throws. Another question about Hafley. Like I said, I'd be a little surprised if that happened, unless they are just smitten with Jeff Hafley in the building. I think that would take some balls to make that move. I love your pod. I've been watching for 2 years now. I watch every episode. I'm kind of getting tired of LaFleur not opening up his playbook to his quarterback, and it's costing us games. It's safe to say, with his contract expiring and him coaching for his job for the remainder of the year, I don't really have a question, but just a thought. It would be idiotic for Klint Kubiak to pass up this job. Klint Kubiak's not. Any of these coordinators, if LaFleur gets fired, would accept that job yesterday. Every single coordinator in the league. Every offensive coordinator and every defensive coordinator. Obviously, including the Packers defensive coordinator. So if LaFleur is fired, the coordinators around the NFL will be lined up for the Packers job. Let me repeat, lined up. They would take the Packers job over the Giants job, over the Titans job, over the Cardinals job. It will be the number one job on the market. It's one of the most prestigious jobs in American sports. So LaFleur, I'm sure, will do everything in his power to defend his territory and not give up that seat in that office because it's probably not quite as desirable as it was when he took over with Rodgers. But remember, Rodgers was kind of struggling then. I just think, assuming Gudikins would stay, I think it would be very, very desirable. And I think Kubiak, and you can name any offensive coordinator. And my guess is they would go offense. Could they bring back McCarthy, or is that ship sailed? That'd be sick. Mike's like, hey, Gudikins, I watched every single snap of you guys on film. Then he gets hired. He's like, actually, I just watched a couple of games on TV. That was a joke based on Mike saying that he watched all the Cowboys games when he didn't. And then he admitted it. Um, would you be more furious as a Packer fan or a Steeler fan at your team's coaching, given what both teams have? Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay's had this nucleus of guys. They trade for Parsons. They've been right there. They're better than the Pack. I mean, we just saw them play the Steelers. They curb stomped them. They are dramatically better in Pittsburgh. I think Steeler fans can acknowledge this. We're not that good. We have a 41-year-old quarterback that doesn't want to get hit. We have one wide receiver who's built like a Greek god, who's pretty average for what he should be. Again, he's good, but we gave a second. We gave him $150 million. He's probably like a two, definitely a 1B. We have no other wide receivers. We got 10 tight ends. Our best running back should be a second, a number two. Our defense is very overrated. Like the Packers, like I said last night, it was the first time where I went, I get it. Like, if I'm a Packer fan, I get it. This is embarrassing. Like, what is going on? How is this happening? What is going on? And the answer is no one really knows. Like, how did we just suck overnight? What has happened to us the last couple of weeks? How have we lost to the Browns? How have we lost to the Panthers? How did we lose a game when the Eagles scored 10 points in Lambeau? It's one thing, it's like, hey, man, you just lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-20. It's like we had an awful interception in the second half. Like, you could live with it. It would suck. They scored 10 points. I repeat, 10 points. And not only did you lose, like, you were behind the whole time. It felt like your back was against the ropes the entire time. In a 0-0 game, in a 7-0 game. Like, how did that happen? Like, at one point in time, it's 10-0. It felt like it was 30-0. So I would say, listen, the Steelers got their ass kicked on Sunday Night Football. I saw Joe Flacco light them up like a Christmas tree. Like, Green Bay, and listen, maybe I'm biased because I bet on them to make the Super Bowl, but I thought it was legitimate. They went 1-5 last year in the division. They add Parsons. Now, they've got some injuries going right now, but that loss last night was every bit as bad as the loss to the Panthers, and that was probably the worst loss of the season, going back to the Browns game, which probably at the time was the worst loss of the season. So the Packers, they tied the Cowboys. I don't know, man. I think the Packers, uh, I'm not a Packer fan, but because as a kid, the 49ers played the Packers all the time. I loved Favre. When I had my first year in Philadelphia, we played the Packers twice, the first game of the season. Clay Matthews knocked out Kevin Kolb. Michael Vick came in, played him again in the playoffs. Ever since I've been doing this, I got in radio. The 49ers were playing the Packers, and Kaepernick was lighting them up. I feel like I've seen them live so many times over the years. I feel like I followed their team as closely as any team that is not like, a Bay Area team. And this year feels like it's really getting away from them. I appreciate everyone watching. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.